What's up, everybody? Dan from Headwaters Kayak, and behind me I have two of our most popular small person 14-foot kayaks. These two boats get demoed side by side all the time, so I thought I would talk about them both, have them both on the floor, walk you guys through them, talk about the similarities, the differences, and help you decide which might be right for you. Let's get into it. So I think it's smart for us to start talking about the similarities. You've got two 14-foot light touring boats, one manufactured by Eddyline, and this one's made out of thermoform ABS plastic. The other one manufactured by Stellar, and that one's made out of fiberglass. Both have front and rear bulkheads for safety, perimeter deck lines. They both have a retractable skag. For those that don't know, that's a little fin that drops down, helps with tracking, helps with downwind performance. They both have cockpits designed to fit a smaller frame paddler. But that is really where the similarities end, because there's so much different about these boats. First, let's start off by talking about the materials. Eddyline is made out of an ABS plastic material called Carbon Light 2000. Basically, it's a thermoformed plastic sheet that is robust. It has the look and feel of a fiberglass boat, but it has the bounceability of a plastic kayak. So a lot of people like the Eddylines just for that bounceability. It's still fairly lightweight, but you don't have to necessarily worry if this thing were to, fall off the stands and hit the ground. The Stellar, on the other hand, is made out of fiberglass. At least this particular one is. It also comes in multi-sport, which is carbon Kevlar. They have carbon infused. They have a few different layup options, but the one we're looking at today is a fiberglass boat, which means it's a little bit more fragile, but it's still fairly stout. If you do bump into something, or if you're coming up a boat ramp and you hit the concrete, it's not like it's going to shatter on you, but you do have to be a little more careful with a fiberglass boat. It is a repairable material. In fact, both these are repairable. The difference with the fiberglass is you can repair it with more fiberglass, more resin. And when you're doing an ABS repair, it's adding fiberglass to the plastic. Eddyline sells a kit on their website. It's like 30 bucks, fits in your life jacket. Basically fiberglass and some glue. You could get an Eddyline back on the water. Fiberglass is a little bit more labor intensive, but you're using the same materials. So fiberglass and epoxy, that's what it's made out of. That's what you're adding to it. So you can do a really professional repair if you needed to. As we look between the boats, you'll see different things like Eddyline uses a toggle system. So if you're in the water, you have a toggle to hold on to. Stellar uses a carry handle. Perimeter deck lines go around both of them. The Stellar has a spot up here for the spare paddle, which I like. Eddyline doesn't, but you have room to add it if you wanted to. Circular hatch here on the Eddyline, oval hatch on the Stellar, so touch more room. The Eddyline, you'll notice more of a peaked deck profile, whereas the Stellar is a little bit flatter, a little bit lower profile. The paddler station, because this is peaked, you still have pretty good hand clearance, but on the Stellar, I really like how they scallop this area here, bring the paddler station in, so even though it's just as wide, it feels like a little bit smaller kayak in general. Cockpits are a little different. Eddyline uses a keyhole style cockpit, so a little narrower for the knees, but a little bit more depth and room. Really good engagement and thigh contact on the Sitka. I love the way this cockpit feels. On the Stellar, they give you a more oval style cockpit with thigh braces, so not as much of a keyhole. You're a little bit more splayed out to engage, but you have a lot more room for your knees getting in and out. And that really is personal preference on what you like better. The seat itself, fiberglass seat pan with a pad. They use a neoprene back band on this one. It is adjustable forward and backwards by loosening this bolt and reattaching it in a different hole. On the Eddyline here, you see it actually has a back rest. This is adjustable, 5 different points of adjustment on the back here. You just loosen the screw and move it up or down. The other adjustment it has is a sliding system. So you loosen this wing nut and you can trim the boat out just by sliding the seat there. So again, kind of personal preference. Sit in both, see what works best for your butt. You see the skag system on the side, same spot on both boats here. Behind the cockpits, they both have the cross panner deck bungee. Again, with a round hatch on the Sitka, oval hatch on the S14 LV. And overall, you see that carries the width of the Stellar a lot further back. So kind of a flatter, more oval design, whereas the Eddyline has a little bit more pinch in the ends. The big difference is the Stellar can take a rudder, whereas the Eddyline cannot. It is just a scagged boat. So you can see just different designs, different fit finishes, but they're both catering to that smaller paddler that wants a lightweight option. So speaking of weight, looking at the Sitka ST, this one comes in at 43 pounds in the ABS plastic, so not too bad. Whereas the Stellar, the fiberglass comes in at 34 pounds, and you could just go lighter from there by getting a lighter layup and spending additional money. You can get this boat sub 30 pounds, which is pretty insanely light. It's already, even at 34 pounds, feels insanely light to pick up and move around. So with any kayak, the whole design is where the rubber meets the road. That's what gives your kayak a feel in the water. And these two boats have a very different design concept. The Stellar has a real plumb bow, so sharp entry, which is going to give it a lot of speed. It's got a soft chine, which means it doesn't have, see that hard edge? That's a hard chine. This is a soft chine, so a little bit more rounded, so a little bit smoother transition to the secondary. Some would say it makes it feel slightly more tippy, but honestly, it's just a different feeling. A hard chine boat's gonna be like clunk, and it's gonna feel like a solid, defined secondary. A rounded chine boat's gonna have a little bit more of a roll before it settles into the secondary. So it's not that one's more stable than the other, it just has an overall different feel. See how the eddy line has a little bit more rake in the bow. I showed you earlier how eddy lines are a little bit more pinched in the ends. The Stellar's a little bit wider. Stellar is all about their whole design and efficiency. All their kayaks are meant to be basically the fastest in their class. That is no exception here. The S14 LV is a little bit faster than the Sitka ST. And then a nice sharp clean exit on both these boats. I will say the Sitka ST is a better tracking boat. Without the skeg down, it just tracks like an arrow. The real hard chines give it a nice defined secondary edge, which people really enjoy if they're learning to edge. This boat's very responsive to body English. You put it on an edge, it carves a nice turn. It kind of just does what you tell it to do. It's very responsive. Whereas the S14 LV, most of the people are paddling with a skeg down at least a little bit. And then when you give it an edge and give it a little sweep, it comes around in a hurry. It's way more playful, way more lively, I would say, but a little bit tougher for a beginner to control. So if it's your first light touring boat, you might find the Sitka a little easier, but the S14 LV is definitely something that you will grow into. As we flip the boats over and look at the whole design, you can see why the Sitka tracks better. It's got that shallow V that runs the entire length of the boat. You can see the hard chine edges there. That's what gives the eddy line its DNA. That's what makes them stable. That's what makes them track. Just a very predictable boat. The Stellar, on the other hand, almost no V in the center. Very flat, very smooth midsection. This is what makes it very fast. A little bit of keel here in the end, but again, a little bit more skag dependent than the eddy line. When people are paddling these two boats side by side, I always get the remark of the Stellar just feels faster. It just feels like when you put the paddle in the water, it wants to accelerate and move. And not to say the eddy line feels slow, because it's still a very fast boat, but you get to a certain point and the bow starts pushing a little bit of water as it hits the chines, just slightly sooner than the Stellar would. So there's pros and cons to both these boats. There's no way for me in this video to tell you what's going to be right for you and your style of paddling. If you're looking for something, a more durable option, more rough and tumble, I think the eddy line is a great way to go. If you're looking for something that's fast, super lightweight, responsive, the Stellar's the way to go. If you're in the middle and you're not sure, gosh, the best thing to do is paddle these boats. If you can find somewhere local that'll let you do a demo, jump on that opportunity. If you're anywhere in Northern California, Lodi Boats House does have both these boats in their demo fleet. She does a great job getting people on the water, testing boats out. Redding, California, you've got Brian at Headwaters Adventure Company. He'll definitely get you on the water in both these boats. In Oregon, you've got Portland Canoe and Kayak, as well as Tumalo Creek, that sells both these brands. And then in Washington, Kent's Kayak and Canoe in Spokane sells both these brands. I almost forgot, Tempe, Arizona, Riverbound Sports. They keep eddy line and Stellars in stock, so you can go talk to those guys and get yourself an education. The rest of the country, you'll have to look on the dealer locator and try to find somebody that does it. Those are just the dealers that I work with here in the West. If you have any questions for me that I can help answer today, go ahead and drop those in the comments below. I'm gonna try to slide in some content from last night's paddle, because we had people in Stellars and we had people in eddy lines, and you can see them paddling side by side. We were on a group paddle. We averaged 3.5 miles an hour over 6 miles. Stellars, eddy lines side by side. There's no real performance advantage or disadvantage when you're on the water in a group setting, but there is a different feel for the paddler. So be Goldilocks, try them yourself if you can. And if not, hopefully you found this video helpful, insightful, and nothing else, a little entertaining. We'll see you guys on the next one. This is Dan wishing you happy paddling.